guys. So a week before Charlie lost his life, he expressed some concerns about the finances at Turning Point USA. In fact, he wanted to put together an entire department, a little mini department, to address those concerns, and we have evidence.
The moment those leaked emails hit the internet, everything flipped overnight. Erika Kirk suddenly went silent, almost like she vanished, because that perfect image she'd crafted for years collapsed instantly. Reports claim the IRS is now breathing down her neck after uncovering something shocking. Word is that Erika allegedly pulled around $15 million from TPUSA funds, and she didn't do it alone. Some insiders even suggest members of Charlie Kirk's inner circle helped her, making the entire situation even more explosive. Now the question hanging over everything is simple but dangerous. Did Erika just orchestrate one of the biggest financial scandals in conservative history? Or is she being targeted while still grieving? Either way, the drama is no longer small talk. It's a full-force storm hitting TPUSA. Just when it looked like things were finally settling after Charlie's passing, another hit smashed right into the organization. And this time, there's no hiding behind sympathy or emotions. Because once the IRS steps in, it stops being about feelings. It becomes all about receipts and accountability. Insiders say pressure skyrocketed the moment those emails leaked, each one dropping like a falling domino. Within hours, whispers spread across TPUSA warning that things were about to get ugly. These emails didn't just hint at odd spending. They exposed financial patterns that could change everything. And that's when the entire landscape flipped upside down.
Does Erika Kirk need millions of dollars and GoFundMe and all these fundraisers? I don't know. I mean, Charlie Kirk left her Turning Point. She's the CEO. He had life insurance.
Inside TPUSA, people started giving Erika suspicious looks, wondering if she'd known this storm was coming all along. While everyone else panicked, she kept doing interviews, smiling for cameras, acting like nothing was burning behind the scenes. Tension inside headquarters became unbearable. Staff whispered in corners, digging through more suspicious emails. Some messages looked damaging enough to tear the whole organization apart if they ever went public. As those employees compared notes, the story grew darker. Nothing felt random anymore. It felt calculated, like someone had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. What's really fueling the conversations, though, is how strangely Charlie's inner circle has behaved since his passing. People say it's like they sensed something massive was coming, something that could blow apart everything they had built. Still, no one ever imagined the IRS would be the first to shatter the silence. With attention focused on questions around Charlie's death and the Tyler Robinson case, TPUSA's finances were the last place anyone expected trouble. That's why the sight of federal agents appearing at the door froze the entire office. But privately, insiders now admit the warning signs were flashing for months. The IRS doesn't simply target a multi-million-dollar organization without serious red flags. And the red flags started when TPUSA's financial reports stopped adding up.
I'm starting to think that the assassination of Charlie Kirk was something akin to a regicide, right? The assassination of a king to install a new ruler who the king would have never approved of, right? Maybe people around him counseling the king, people who perhaps betrayed him, because there are just too many things that I am finding out that are not adding up to me.
Online critics quickly pointed out that you don't jump from a $4 million operation to nearly $40 million in 4 years without something unusual happening in the background. The IRS clearly agreed, because once they looked closer, nothing aligned. What made it even more suspicious was how untouchable TPUSA used to seem. For years, the organization was shielded by massive donors and political allies. Money flowed in constantly, but the paper trail was almost invisible. Nobody dared to question it while Charlie Kirk was alive. His influence was simply too strong. But the moment he was gone, that shield cracked. People who once defended TPUSA went silent. Donors backed away. Insiders began whispering. Suddenly, leaks poured out that never should have escaped those walls. Then came the detail that changed everything. The numbers did not match reality. Records reportedly showed nearly $400 million raised during Charlie's decade in charge. Yet insiders say huge amounts disappeared without explanation. That's when everyone began asking the same burning question. Where did the money actually go, and who had been covering it up? What shook insiders even more was what investigators found next. The deeper they dug, the stranger everything became. The leaked documents didn't just reveal missing money. They suggested a full-scale operation quietly running for years right under everyone's nose.
Jack Smith's electric case against then-Citizen Trump and now President Trump. These new records show that Arctic frost was much broader than just an electoral matter. The case was expanded to Republican organizations. On that political list was one of Charlie Kirk's groups, Turning Point USA. In other words, Arctic frost wasn't just a case to politically investigate Trump. It was the vehicle by which partisan FBI agents and Department of Justice prosecutors,
emails between accounting staff, donation coordinators, and upper management painted a picture that looked less like careless bookkeeping and more like a deliberate plan to move money until it couldn't be traced. Worse still, some messages sounded shockingly confident, as if certain people believed they had protection from the top. One leaked message read, "Make sure those transfers don't hit the public report." Use the foundation line again. That single line sent chills through everyone. It implied donor money was purposely being rerouted into private accounts. Once that message leaked, panic erupted inside the building. Phones rang non-stop, files vanished from servers, and according to one staffer, it felt like a storm gathering speed with everyone knowing exactly who it was aimed at. Even before the IRS officially reached out, employees sensed the walls closing in. What made it more unbelievable was how quickly Erika changed her public tone just weeks before the leaks. She did podcast appearances smiling and talking about rebuilding Charlie's legacy. But once the emails blew up online, her presence vanished instantly. No interviews, no tweets, no statements. Total silence from someone who preached transparency. That silence became louder than anything she could have said. Then came claims from former employees who had left months earlier, but were finally ready to talk. One said the spending didn't make sense, money disappeared from projects, then reappeared in event budgets that didn't exist. Another added, it's like they were laundering their own reputation.
On the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them."
Everything looked clean on the surface, but behind the scenes, it was complete chaos. Investigators say the IRS wasn't following one paper trail. They were following dozens. Each route led to shell accounts, foundations, and partnerships connected to the same small circle around Erika Kirk. What shocked the team most was how many of those entities were registered under slightly altered versions of the TPUSA name. Enough variations to confuse anyone not digging closely. Meanwhile, the public was losing its mind as social media exploded with threads, charts, and timelines explaining the alleged financial maze. Hashtags like hashtag TPU scandal and hashtag Erika mails trended across platforms, connecting donations, speaking fees, and consulting expenses worth millions. One viral post even claimed sudden, unexplained deposits hit Erika's accounts weeks before Charlie Kirk's passing. The timing, confirmed or not, was impossible for fans and critics to ignore. A journalist from Arizona then contacted a source inside the audit team, revealing even darker details. According to the whistleblower, high-profile donor checks were being split between official accounts and private advisory funds. These advisory funds weren't tied to any legitimate program. They were reportedly used for operational flexibility, a vague term experts couldn't define. That single revelation opened the floodgates and pushed every major outlet into the story. Networks began running segments about suspicious nonprofit spending, and Erika's name sat in the middle of it all. Even more unsettling was the silence from TPUSA's board members, the very people expected to protect the organization. No statements, no appearances, just strategic quiet. By the time the IRS confirmed they were reviewing irregularities, the internet had already turned the whole scenario into a full-blown spectacle. The online world split instantly, with some defending Erika as the target of a smear campaign and others pointing to numbers that didn't lie. The real issue wasn't just the missing money, it was the pattern. Every time a red flag appeared, someone miraculously found an explanation. Every donor complaint ended with a convenient clerical error. And somehow, each correction led straight back to Erika's department. Even the timeline raised suspicion as insiders revealed questionable transfers happening during conventions, galas, and fundraisers. These were moments when everyone was distracted by the spotlight, making it easy for large movements of money to slip by unnoticed. Then came the biggest twist. One of Charlie's oldest friends and longtime financial advisors had contacted the IRS weeks before the leaks. He reportedly filed a voluntary disclosure packet, something usually done by someone coming clean before being implicated. That detail sent shockwaves through TPUSA, causing leadership to launch internal audits and hire crisis managers. Yet none of the prepared statements ever went public. Erika's biography briefly disappeared from the TPUSA website, and event footage featuring her was quietly scrubbed from social platforms. Fans noticed immediately, sparking rumors she was being pushed aside from the inside. Still, Erika remained silent. No interviews, posts, or legal statements. Just silence. And that silence became its own red flag. A year ago, she was praised for keeping Charlie's vision alive. Now, that vision seemed to be collapsing, with every new leak painting a darker picture. The IRS even hinted that some transactions might involve criminal elements, raising deeper questions about who was really behind the missing money. The biggest question became impossible to ignore. If Erika wasn't the one moving the money, who was she protecting? The fake accounts, shifting numbers, missing millions, and suspicious timing didn't point to one person. They pointed to an entire network. Insiders warned that hundreds of unreleased emails still sit in encrypted drives, and if they ever go public, they could destroy whatever reputation TPUSA has left. Current financial reports tell a story far different from the polished numbers TPUSA once showcased. The second leaks suggested that missing funds might trace back to Erika and her circle. The IRS moved without hesitation. That's when everything flipped. Internal whispers became panic as agents arrived with documents, timelines, and years of transaction records. The investigation wasn't casual. It was a deep dive into every suspicious detail. Insiders say Erika believed she could outsmart the system by positioning herself as the grieving widow while quietly rebuilding her image. But she underestimated how quickly federal investigators move. Breadcrumbs always lead somewhere, and now they led straight back to her. Transaction chains reportedly link multiple hidden accounts, suggesting the alleged $15 million didn't disappear overnight. It was redirected slowly over several years. Her public behavior after Charlie's death raised even more eyebrows. Before police even completed the timeline of Charlie's final hours, Erika had taken full control of TPUSA. Within days, she released polished statements, appeared at pre-planned events, and delivered speeches that looked more like PR campaigns than tributes. Witnesses said she was fully styled, smiling, and rehearsed throughout. Online, critics called it a grief tour, claiming her appearances looked more like branding than mourning. When pressed by reporters, Erika repeated one line: "This is what Charlie would have wanted." But Candace Owens publicly challenged that narrative, saying Charlie was private and thoughtful, and would never have wanted his death turned into a publicity machine. Her comments shifted public opinion instantly. Behind the scenes, the FBI reportedly noticed similar inconsistencies. Agents began tracing call logs, internal messages, and security footage to determine who knew what and when. The emotional timeline and the financial timeline intersected in ways no one could explain. Half the internet believed Erika was being unfairly targeted, while the other half believe it was all planned long before Charlie's passing. Because while grief varies, taking leadership within hours, launching image campaigns before investigations finish, and tightly controlling TPUSA's narrative raise serious doubts, especially when investigators say the timeline contradicts her statements. As Candace said, Charlie would have wanted honesty, not theatrics. While Charlie's true friends struggled to process his death, Erika was already moving chess pieces behind the scenes, deciding what footage aired, what stories vanished, and who could speak publicly. It felt like she saw something coming and needed to get ahead of it. Now, as the IRS digs through every record, old whispers are becoming loud conversations. What began as a financial concern has evolved into a full-scale operation involving shell companies, dummy nonprofits, and allegedly laundered donations. Even those who once bragged about being part of Charlie's inner circle are disappearing, deleting posts, and distancing themselves. Insiders fear the investigation could reach far beyond TPUSA if Erika wasn't acting alone. The FBI is reportedly questioning donor meetings, internal communications, and archived board records. Reputations are at stake, and the inner circle could unravel entirely. If even half the whispers are true, TPUSA isn't the only thing at risk. A whole chain of powerful people could fall. And while Erika keeps smiling for cameras, the walls are closing in fast. Investigators are cross-checking transfers, timestamps, and undisclosed accounts. When this story breaks wide open, it won't just expose missing money. It will expose everyone who believed they were untouchable. Erika's name may only be the first on a much longer list. This story grows darker, deeper, and messier by the day. And one thing's certain, it's nowhere near over.